Now, on the face of it, it's a familiar enough story of a minority community suffering violence at the hands of a majority. But this is Burma, only recently moving hesitantly toward democracy after years of military rule. A Channel 4 news crew has finally travelled from Rangoon to the biggest city in Rakhine state, Sitwe, where the community was until recently made up of Buddhists and Rohingya Muslims. But following an alleged case of rape against a Buddhist girl, retaliation against Muslims has led to ethnic clashes and many of the Muslim community being forced into refugee camps outside the city. Our correspondent, who we're not naming for his own safety, has this exclusive report.
There's only one way to get to Sitwe, the largest city in Rakhine state. But it isn't easy. Security is tight and travel is restricted. The Burmese government has banned independent monitors and foreign journalists. Local reporters are censored. Our team, the first foreign crew to get here. The city was quiet, but it felt extremely tense. Until recently, Sitwe was almost evenly split between the Buddhist community and local Muslims, also known as the Rohingya. But the vast majority of Rohingya had gone. Several mosques had been razed, and this one badly damaged. We drove to the largest Muslim section of the city, called Narzi. It was home to 10,000 people. You can still see the brick foundations of people's houses, and there are bits of china and scraps of clothing lying around the place. But this community, this bustling community, has ceased to exist. It's like looking at the aftermath of a natural disaster, except human beings did this. Members of the local Buddhist community picked their way through the rubble, looking for bits of metal or vegetable roots.
It feels strange here, all this empty space. This was their village.
The destruction had nothing to do with them, they told us. The Rohingya had burnt their own houses down.
They set fire to their own houses, so the wind would take the flames onto our homes.
Who would set fire to their own homes, really?
Yes, in fact, they burnt their own homes to try and burn down the whole community.
It began with an allegation that 3 Muslim men had raped and killed a Buddhist woman, and it was followed by fury. 10 Muslims were killed in retaliation. Homes were torched and rival gangs settled scores. Burma's military was called in to calm the situation, but the suffering and the violence hasn't stopped. The hatred runs deep, so the government has responded by separating the two communities. 60,000 Rohingya have been moved into camps located well outside Sitwe. Passage to these areas is strictly controlled. Few people, including humanitarian workers, have been allowed in. However, we managed to meet the occupants of several camps, including a group who'd been living on this waterlogged site for a month. People were hungry, and many of the children looked malnourished. No one wanted to be here.
I'm from Sitwe, but I don't want to stay here. I want to go to Bangladesh. We're really suffering.
We were accompanied by armed security officers, and it was difficult for people to speak openly. But in view of our cameraman, some held up signs asking the UN Special Envoy to Burma for help. Secretly, we were passed notes. Can't get food, have no clothes, can't go anywhere. A mother of 3 asked to speak to us in her tent.
We are living on rice and beans. It's not enough. We haven't got blankets. When we were in town, we could buy food for the kids, but now we can't.
The occupants of these camps are not allowed to leave, and a return to their homes in Sitwe seems increasingly unlikely. It is a source of great anxiety, for few people here can support themselves.
We have no jobs and our kids can't work. I used to run a shop in Sitwe, but I came here in the rain with nothing but my bare hands. No money, nothing.
Aid agencies told us the situation here is desperate, but they are struggling to provide assistance. Back in Sittwe, aid workers face hostility from members of the local Buddhist community who've plastered their views all over town. The UN and international NGOs are accused of favouring the Rohingya, a view that's widely shared. Aid workers have been threatened here and food shipments blocked. These are the words of one activist.
There are poor Buddhists in this state as well, you know, but the NGOs give support only to the Muslims. So why doesn't the UN treat people equally?
8,000 members of the local Buddhist community were made homeless in Sittwe. The majority have taken shelter in city temples, although several were damaged in the violence. The conditions are cramped and uncomfortable, but there's enough food to go around.
Yes, we've got the support we need, and local government's been helping us.
But these temporary residents told us they're not prepared to live with the Rohingya again. The temple's abbot offered this bleak vision.
I don't think people can coexist again. The Rohingya are extremists. They're very religious and they hate us. They would try and take revenge. That's what I think.
There is little charity left in Rakhine State, and the Rohingya have few friends here. No politician seems willing to support them. No wonder then that many are dreaming of escape, of reaching these islands off the coast and finding passage abroad. And there seems little alternative at the moment, for a life in a waterlogged camp is nothing to live for. This is Channel 4 News in Rakhine State, Burma.